Thank you, friends. It's taking us a long time to get started. Shh, shh. Okay, crisscross applesauce. Watching this tape. Shh.
Alright, friends. So the last time we did science, we talked about what kinds of bodies of water. Anyone remember? Gabe, what's one of them?
Ocean.
The ocean. Caroline, what's another?
River.
A river. Gaby, what's another? Pond. That's 3. We have one more. Vinny.
Lake.
A lake. So what kinds?
Creek.
A creek. Good. What kinds of water do you think are in these? Maybe a better question would be, what kind of water would you find in the ocean? Think about when you go to the ocean. Everyone close your eyes. Think about when you go to the ocean. You swim in the water. And then a big wave comes and you get some water in your mouth and it tastes really, really yucky. What's it taste like? Nico.
It tastes like salt. And salt water.
Yeah, it's salt water.
I knew it.
Friends that have gone to the ocean before and you've swam in the ocean, if you were to lay down in the water, what would happen?
Salt water will come.
Emery.
Wave might come and splash onto you, and then you might get some in your mouth while you're on.
If you lay on your back in the ocean, are you going to sink down to the bottom?
Yeah.
No. What are you going to do?
Float.
You
can
float.
float in any kind of water, except cool water. You can float in cool water. Yeah, you
When you're in, how many friends have swam in a lake before?
I swam in the ocean.
Think about a lake. Have you ever skipped rocks in a lake before?
Yeah.
Give me 5, 4, 3. I have a louder calling out. I need quiet hands. When you skip a rock over the water in a lake, and the rock is done, what does it do? Where does it go? Gabe? It sinks to where?
Bottom.
Sinks to the bottom. So things in salt water do what? Caroline?
Float.
And things in fresh water, which is what's in a lake, do what? Vinny?
Sink, and I have another thing
Sure.
another one that would be more a valley.
Yeah. Oh, good. A valley. A valley is formed when 2 mountains come together. Yes, Emery?
Actually, a lake doesn't have one rock, and that kind of does, but the straw mixed into it, so it makes it not really flat. That's why you don't want to drink it.
Yes, you do not want to drink water out of a lake, but it is called fresh water because there are freshwater fish that live in it,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have salt water like the ocean does. Can a lake have salt water as well? Yes. Good, good friends. Yes, Nicolette.
Sometimes I get mad. Sometimes there's a lake around my house, so if in my yard I have rocks, so I take them to the pond, I throw them in the pond, one time I accidentally slid.
That happens sometimes. We try to be very careful. So, yes, Gabe. Absolutely. So friends, we are going, I'll wait until my friends in the back are ready. Shane, put them away. We have done an experiment before. When we do an experiment, what do we use? Does anyone remember those big words? Emery, the scientific method. So it tells us how we do an experiment and what steps we need to take. The calling out needs to stop. So we have our background information, which is what we just went over. What do we know about salt water? Nico.
It's really salty.
It is really salty. What do things do? Yes, Emery, float. So we know that things in salt water will float on top of the water. And we know things in fresh water will float to the bottom. Now we have our question, which is what we need to answer with our experiment. Our question is, what will the egg do in fresh water? And what will the egg do in salt water? So we are going to create this thing called a hypothesis, which is a really fancy word for a guess. So our hypothesis, you have to fill in the blank. I think the egg will blank in fresh water and will blank in salt water. So you have to say if you think it's going to sink or float in fresh water and if you think it's going to sink or float in salt water. When I call your table, come get your paper, put your name on it, and fill in these blanks on the front of the page. I will write the words sink and float on the board so you know how to spell them. Go green table. Sharks table. Daisy table.
But I can't tell you.
Johnny, I call the table.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Good.
Yeah, he was.
Shark.
Does he look creepy? Look at
Okay.
him.
Reagan, brace up. And Daniel.
He's paralyzed.
Yeah.
Look at it. It turned out like that. I didn't eat that. Yes, but there's some white. Now, is there any white? Yeah. I used to say.
All right, friends, if you can hear me clap once. You can hear me clap 2 times. You can hear me clap 3 times. I love how Vinny or Nico got straight to work and so did Vinny. We are writing our name at the top. And then here where we have the blanks in our sentence. I think the egg will blank in fresh water. Vin. I think the egg will blank in fresh water. Write sink or float. Hold on, Nicolette. I think the egg will sink in fresh water, or I think the egg will float in fresh water. The first blank. It's up there. It's in the middle of a sentence, so it should not be uppercase. Yes, Nicolette. First one. The first blank is fresh water. What do you think the egg will do in fresh water? The word sink and float is up there. You got a pencil. All right, friends. Fill in the second blank. I think the egg will blank in salt water. Sink or float? All right, we're going to find out in just a minute. All right, Jocelyn, you can go and sit on the carpet back there. Friends, we want to make sure that we are very careful around the table. The containers that I have are glass, and they can be very dangerous if you knock them over. So please stay away from the table and just sit on the floor. You are holding onto your papers on your desk. Emery, you can go to the back. Dave E, you can go. Nope, you leave your paper on your desk. I'm only calling friends that are sitting quietly. Zachary, you may go to the back. Just the front. Caroline. Yep, those are supposed to be filled in, both of them. So I think the egg will float in fresh water and will blank in salt water. Vinny, you may go to the back. Johnny, you may go. Nicolette may go. Lori and Reagan may go. Other Reagan may go. Johnny, Remember, we want to stay back. And we should be sitting crisscross applesauce on our bottoms. There's plenty of room, friends. Nico, leave your paper on your desk. Molly, you may move. Yeah. Girls, you both are supposed to be sitting crisscross applesauce. Jesse, you may move that.
Right there.
There we go, you may move. You may go. Daniel, you may come on back. We all need to be sitting on our bottoms, and we cannot start the experiment until we're all face forward. I hear voices over mine. Reagan, 6 crisscross applesauce. Yori, all my friends in the back. Nico, you need to be sitting on the ground. If everyone sits crisscross applesauce, everyone will be able to see. Then move over next to Yori. All right, friends. So our experiment. What do we have to complete our experiment? What's on the table right now? What's our equipment? Gaby, what's one thing we have?
2 eggs and 2 glasses of water.
2 eggs and 2 glasses of water. Can anyone see a difference between my glasses of water? Emery,
One glass is more filled than the other glass.
one glass is more full than the other. What about any other differences? Take a look at crisscross applesauce. Nico, what do you notice?
One of them is fresh water and one of them is salt water.
Good. So this one is salt water. And this one is fresh water. Now both my eggs weigh the exact same. Jocelyn, do you want to hold them to make sure I'm telling the truth? Be very careful. They're not cooked. Are they both the same weight? Thank you, Jocelyn. Shane.
Where did you get the salt one from?
So I made it. This is the salt that I used. And I took 2.5 cups of warm water and I put 6 tablespoons of salt into this glass and mixed it up. So what do you think is next for my experiment? I need to know what sinks and what's floating. What is my next step, Zach?
Put the eggs in the container.
Put the eggs in.
Gently place them and not just fish up. Also
So we all need to watch. What's this one?
fresh
Fresh water. What happened? It went all the way down to the bottom. What's this one?
Salt water. What did I say? It's like float.
What is it doing?
Floating.
It's staying at the top of the water.
But there's a little bit on the top and a lot bit on the bottom.
There is a little bit that's poking up out of the water.
It's not going all the way down, so it's still called floating.
It is called floating.
It
So,
still counts.
my hypothesis was that the egg in salt water is going to float because I know that things in salt water float. And that the egg in fresh water was going to sink because I know if I throw a rock into fresh water, it's going to go down to the bottom. So when we go back to our seats, we're going to finish our science experiment. So we're going to circle. My hypothesis was correct or incorrect. That means, did you write here, what you wrote here doesn't match what happened? And then your results. The egg will, what does it do in fresh water? Reagan. So the egg will sink in fresh water and will do what in salt water, friends? Caroline. Float. And then you will draw a picture of our experiment. So I'm going to keep it here. But I need friends to make sure that they're very careful. When I call your table, go back to your seat. Nico's table. Molly's table. Greg and Bryce's table. Johnny's table. That's just the brain. So I think the egg will sink in fresh water and will float in salt water. So you were correct. Were you correct? The egg will sink in fresh water and float in salt water. So you were correct. So you would circle correct. You're going to draw a picture of that experiment. Very careful.
No, you were wrong.
Yep.
Yes! I'm funny. I'm gonna go. Okay.
That's very
Let's
tiny.
draw a picture. Where you
Very careful by the table, girls.
I'm just standing. I'm watching.
So what will the egg do in fresh water? Good, good. Draw a picture of the experiment. Be as detailed as possible. I think the egg will float in fresh water and sink in salt water. Were you correct or incorrect? What did it do?
I-N-K.
Why does everybody have these? This is salt water.
It's okay. We're not gonna- Yeah. So we'll draw the glasses in the egg.
I'm going to go to the table. I'm going to add my hands. Detail. Yeah, me too. Except for the back. I know how to stripe. Or maybe you can just put a line over it. You can't really do the top. I just wrote salt.
Good.
How do I do that? Yeah, you have to need my banana eraser.
And what
I'm
will
not
do with salt water? Focus on the center. Put your name on it.
I'm gonna erase the line. No, I'm back to color it. So I'm not going to do eggs. Okay. Now we're gonna make the table.
So you're going to draw a picture of what the experiment looked like.
Tomorrow the next one.
Then draw 4 lines.
Draw a picture of what is on the table. You can sit down. Look, we're just drawing what it looks like, friends. When we're scientists, we want to draw what our experiment looked like. Nico and Caleb are doing our study. Molly
The freshwater fill.
5 minutes.
No. This is pink.
Yeah.
This one I need to take crap. No, that one is big in the water.
Yes, what's that?
All right, girls back here, you need to hurry up. Good. When you're done, go back to your seat.
Can I see?
Great job.
Hold on.
Can I see? No, put your head down. No, all the way down. Let's just let it be.
All right, friends. If you're ready and you know it, clap your hands. If you're ready and you know it, clap your hands. If you're ready and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're ready and you know it, clap your hands. If you're ready and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're ready and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're ready and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're ready and you know it, stomp your feet. All right, friends, I'm looking for quiet friends that have their science papers on their desk and are ready to answer some questions. How many friends had the correct hypothesis the first time? How many friends? Good. And if you were incorrect, that's good too, because that means you're thinking like a scientist. Because when scientists make experiments and they make their guess, sometimes they're not always right, Yori and Gabe. That's why they do the experiment, to make sure that they're either correct or incorrect and what they had that was incorrect. So what were our results? Who can tell us? What were our results? Zachary, what were our results?
Egg will score and egg doesn't float in fresh water.
So the egg will float in salt water, but will sink in fresh water. Give me a thumbs up if you agree. Egg will float in salt water, but will sink in fresh water. Molly and Reagan, why don't you agree? All right, friends. I'm looking for quiet friends to call to the carpet for foundation.
Actually, you can leave them there.
Okay.
I changed my mind. All right, friends. Real quick, we're going to do. I have one of your favorite songs on, and you're gonna watch it by the end of this poem. I want you up front, but instead of looking my way, Shane, I want you looking over here. Okay, so I'll put the song on. You've got a few minutes to get your bodies up here, but by the time the song is over, you need to be with me. Zach, you get the right. Also, this is a good time to clean your desks off, and nobody is using the bathroom once I start foundations. So if you think even the littlest thing might have to go, now's the time.
Fun.